wants to get more of your tax money to, quote, bail out the Greeks. The Greeks are being sucked dry. They don't owe the lion's share of the money. They tied their pension funds into the IMF and World Bank private banking consortium, and they're holding everyone hostage. And the criminals that are running this are meeting in St. Moritz, Switzerland. We've got two of our great dogged reporters. We've got Paul Watson of PrisonPlanet.com, Aaron Dykes of Infowars.com, with live video streaming, photos, all going up on the Twitter feed. It's all available at Infowars.com, exclusive live video and photos from Bilderberg, continually updated. So it's all there and available to everyone right now. Please get that link out to everyone you know. We're going to have in that one section all the new articles, all the new research, all the new breaking intel coming out as it unfolds. Then we have incredible footage of the Department of Education with local federalized police SWAT teaming someone for their wife's being behind on student loans. That's illegal. The debtor prisons are illegal. I mean, it is getting insane. We've got Open, USA Today, you name it, talking about the end of the dollar, defaults on trillions. The bankers do this. They implode you, then they take over even more. We've got just so much happening. And then I've got other bizarre articles up at Infowars.com confirmed from the Idaho Statesman. A big boil down on this from the American Dream. China wants to construct a 50-square-mile self-sustaining city south of Boise, Idaho. This is what Mexico and the North American Union have tried to do in Kansas City. This is the new model of these globalist free trade zones where they're above the laws, nothing gets searched, they can bring in whatever they want, they can leverage out all the local businesses. It's the same model of the insiders being above the law and basically having diplomatic immunity. These are diplomatic zones. And it's the same thing with the too big to fail banks getting our tax money, General Electric chairing the Economic Commission in the White House, getting a waiver for their power plants nobody else does as the government shuts down their competition, Obama giving waivers to thousands of big companies that give him money where they don't have to get insurance, but we do for our employees. I mean, it is total mafia takeover. That's what world government is government by a corrupt corporate mafia who are waging war against the free market system. This is so off the charts. And to see the incredible expense of the militarized Swiss police, going after the citizens like they're scum. The Swiss people are good folks, and they have a good Second Amendment system that our Second Amendment's based on. But there you see it the same as every other country, but Switzerland's a little bit different. They are one of the main hoarding zones of these criminals' money. That's why the criminals haven't forced Switzerland into the EU yet and haven't forced it into globalism yet because they want a place to hide out. So there they are where they take much of their stolen loot. These individuals, many of them make billions a year through these brokerage firms and banks. They steal from us on record, and they haul it back to Switzerland, and here are the globalists protecting them. So you know why I didn't announce that Aaron Dykes and Paul Watson were going to be on the ground. I wanted them, that was even guarded here in the office. I have real trouble keeping things secret. That's why I said we're going to have our guys reporting on the reporters that are going to be there. Aaron Dykes and Paul Watson. And my wife heard it and basically took it that they would be there a few days ago. So I just really can't even lie when I try, folks. But the point is, this is big news, and we're fighting back. And if we can get the world to awaken to these people, there's a reason the controlled globalist dinosaur media doesn't want you to know they're there. One of the other agendas last year and reportedly this year is how to take over the internet, how to shut down free speech, because they can't have us identifying them as the criminals that have done it. If we can identify these people to the general public, remember just 4 or 5 years ago it didn't exist. The media would make fun of you for this. Just 3 years ago, the New York Times said I was crazy and didn't cover Bilderberg, okay? Because they're desperate to keep this information from you. They're desperate. Gerald Celente coming up.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
We are live. So much is happening. The world really is awakening. You know, I'm the keynote speaker. Past keynote speakers have been Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity. I'm told some of those folks are going to be there at Talker's main event in New York Friday and Saturday. I'm speaking Saturday morning as the keynote speaker. of the event, March 2001. They did the cover story, Alex Jones, keynote speaker, fastest growing radio show in the country, according to analysis that's been done. A lot of folks claim they're the fastest this, the fastest that. We are. And that's why we have such incredible responsibility. And I couldn't have done any of this without my great team. I couldn't have done any of this without you, the listeners, spreading the word. And we are going to have, we already have incredible video reports, live streaming video, the live Twitter feed with high-def photos. And we've got all this breaking news. It's going to be codified into articles. We're streaming live video of the guys driving around the Bilderberg Group Hotel, where the Global Crime Syndicate is meeting in St. Moritz. The police did detain for 40 minutes Luke Radowski and RT reporter, and took his passport and threatened to arrest him and interrogated him. So that's big news that we're going to get Kurt Nimmo to get a blurb out on. We're going to do, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we haven't done this in a month, a Google bomb. But I need to get an article out with it in the headline before I choose the term. Start your engines collectively to rush the globalist. We've got that happening. But a lot of the people attending this have indictments out on them, like Henry Kissinger in France. And one of the top members of their government, the equivalent of their Congress, it was in Swiss News Monday, Drudge picked up our article on it, called for the arrest of Henry Kissinger for the convictions he has in some countries for war crimes, and the French indictment. Of this year, George Soros can't go because of all of the indictments and convictions in Europe on him. I mean, this is a mafia. This is, people think of the mafia as some Italians sitting around in a farmhouse. That's a low-level mafia. Okay, this is the Dutch royalty, the British royalty, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. These are the people that Obama is calling for hundreds of billions more of U.S. taxpayer money to, quote, bail out Greece. But it's admitted in Greece and in Europe, 91% of it is not owed by the Greek people. Their pension funds are tied in to the investments Goldman Sachs and others who took over their government 2 years ago, set them up to fall. Now they're taking the country over. Some brokerage heads, one guy who's owed $3 billion, is getting huge islands individually from the government. He sells them fraud, controls their government, Papandreou, and then has them hand it all over to them. That's how evil these people are. They're the ones that want global population reduction. They're the ones that want all of this. They're the people that admittedly want to shut down the free press, and openly we've gotten their documents where they want it. They're the ones that want a global government, and our people are covering it there right now in Switzerland. We'll have continual coverage of that at Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. Now, for the rest of the hour, we're joined by the premier trends forecaster, Gerald Celente. He said last year that by the end of the year, it would be evident that the dollar was dying, that we were in a depression. Well, then the media did admit there was a depression, and they said, oh, Gerald's wrong. But look at the London Independent analysis, the London Guardian, the Associated Press. All the news this week says we're worse than depression-level housing slump, worse than depression-level job losses. They've been cooking the numbers. There never was a recovery. So the hoax is breaking. Gerald Celente was right. He wasn't wrong. The Arabs are saying they're not going to increase output of oil. All of that is happening. We've got a lot of intel from inside the Bilderberg Group. I'll go over later in the hour what's on their agenda. Bigger war in the Middle East as a political distraction, who they're going to replace at the IMF. So much key information, but it's happening, and these are the people that have done it by design. Joining us is Gerald Celente via video Skype. Thank you for joining us, Gerald. And his audio cut out. We'll go to him. Video Skype's great for the prisonplanet.tv viewers, and the audio quality's better. That's why we do it. But sometimes the technology can be a bit jumpy, obviously, as you've seen from our folks reporting. But what's great, we have Gerald Celente with us. Gerald, here are the global crime syndicate, white shoe boys, as you call them, meeting openly, most of them the heads of the banks that are looting us, and the police are treating reporters like scum and threatening to arrest them and snatching their passports from them. Gerald Celente.
Well, you know what I used to say over and over again, and people didn't want to hear it. If the names on Wall Street were named Celente, Caruso, Mondavi, Puccini, Rossini, they'd call it the mafia. But as you point out, you can't call the white shoe boys crooks and criminals. Oh, no, they dress nice, and they have good language, and they go to Harvard, Princeton, Yale. and Oxford, Eton boys. Oh, no, they're proper. You know, they're raping this country, International Monetary Fund. You know, if Dominique Strauss-Kahn is allegedly guilty of raping that woman, it's just what the IMF does. They're either raping a person or raping a country. You pointed it out. They call it privatization. What they do is they force countries into bankruptcy by their banking deals. And as you also pointed out, who do the Greek people owe this money to? Oh, the German and French banks and other criminal groups that made bad bets, and they can't lose. So what are they doing? Well, we have to privatize. Privatize? Oh, again, white shoe boy language. That means taking expensive public resources and selling them very cheaply to your buddies. So what we're looking at here, Alex, is really criminal activity that's in front of all of us. And you nailed it, and what you're doing is terrific by exposing it. And as you well point out, I remember 20 years ago, there was this little newspaper, I think it was called Liberty Lobby, and they used to write about the Bilderbergs, and nobody believed them. Nobody, oh, they were these crazy people. The takeover has happened, and it's not socialism. I make this really clear. The merger of state and corporate powers is called fascism. And all the police are, the ones that you're talking about, the police in the countries around the world are nothing more than enforcers for the government crime bosses. The morality of the police is disgusting, is what's happened. As you pointed out, that video about breaking down the door at 6 o'clock in the morning because the guy didn't pay, his wife didn't pay his student loan, one after another. So the people better stand up because, boy, oh boy, the steamroller's ready to roll, and they're going to roll you over.
Gerald, for those that don't know, the footage is up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. The Department of Education, the feds have basically federalized all local police. They just show up and order them to SWAT team someone when debtor prisons are illegal. But I see articles every day where they're arresting people for unpaid debts. And then I see the article where the police did do their job in Florida, where for 5 months the bank said you never owed the house. The people paid cash. Bank of America, you don't have a deed. You took their luxury home. And finally, the police did the right thing and did their job. And when they went into the bank to seize the Bank of America branch and take the money out of the bank to pay them their hundreds of thousands back, under court order, the banker reportedly said, well, you can't do this. We're Bank of America. These guys think, and they've committed so many crimes, that they're God and can do this, but their comeuppance is coming. The awakening is happening to these criminals, and Bank of America is part of the big global 6 mega banks that own the IMF and World Bank and that own the Federal Reserve shares. And the people are identifying them, and the people are awakening.
Well, they better awake. You know, I just heard James Carville, the Democratic strategist. And he's now saying what I said 2 years ago was going to happen. But, of course, now it's making news, and they're not calling him crazy.
Imminent civil unrest.
Exactly. You know, I've been saying this for how long? And that's what's going to happen. You know, I hear it's very simple. You know, I've been giving this a lot of thought. The only way this is going to change, we're not going to have a third party. It's rigged against us. Let the people vote. Let the people vote. Every major issue, war, bailouts, immigration. Let the people vote. You talked about Switzerland. What do they have in Switzerland? Other than the money cockroaches, what they have in Switzerland is direct democracy. The representatives in this country don't represent us. Let's make this really clear. What they call campaign contributions, you know, that's kiddie talk for bribes and payoffs. Let the people vote. Let the people vote on every issue. We do not have a representative form of government. It's a takeover. Washington is controlled by Wall Street. The only way I see it changing, Alex, if you go back to TARP, the people would have never voted for it. If you put the war on Libya in front of the people, they would never vote for it. If you put up, do you want to keep the wars in Iraq?